And then I saved the date, and that's why they gave me a key to the city.
We got a key to the city?
Or you weren't listening?
No, not at all.
Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us once again for this, the 5th episode of Heroes and Villains, the
For Drunk Doctor Who.
Drunk Doctor Who subsidiary podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We have had a small hiatus due to weather.
Yeah.
Other extenuating circumstances. It's been very cold.
Yeah, Texas has been, we had the worst storm since 1899 last week.
It could be around in 1899.
You'd be very old.
Yeah.
But, okay, so last week,
they also
crazy
probably had less space heaters too.
They definitely did. Luckily I have a fireplace. Alright, so anyway, this is the Heroes and Villains. This is our episode 5, and today we're doing our first actual villain. So far we've done the Doctor, Susan, Ian, and Barbara, and then today the Daleks, our first villain. And
Exterminate.
Yeah. They're the first villain, proper villain, and recurring villain chronologically in the show. Because the first serial was the Cavemen. I mean, it's Cavemen. They're not a recurring villain. They're just.
I feel like the Cavemen should come back.
No,
I want to find out what
different
happened to
cavemen.
Grug and Og and Gunk.
Yeah, so the second serial of Doctor Who, the very second serial of the Daleks, which may have actually been the first one they were trying to get done, but the script wasn't finished because it was 7 episodes, whereas the Caveman one was only 4.
Yes.
But anyway, so the Daleks, crazy bug-eyed monsters, animated pepper pots is what they're called sometimes. Like pepper shakers.
What are they? They had an acronym in the movie. What do they call them? Bug-eyed monsters.
Yeah, bug-eyed monsters. BEMs, bug-eyed monsters.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, we do these Heroes and Villain podcasts on weeks where either we don't want to drink or we just want to watch a movie instead of Doctor Who.
And we watched
Bad Moms Christmas.
The second Bad Moms movie.
Yeah, lots of fun. Great.
Cross that off the movie list.
True. We got lots of movies on the movie list.
Mm-hmm. Keeps growing.
Okay. Now, what would you like to say about the Daleks?
Boy, where to start? I feel like I've only seen like 10% of the Dalek episodes so far.
Yeah, it's
so there's a lot of Dalek content that I am not aware of. But what the most unique Dalek experience to me, on the top of my head, is where this is the one episode where you see humanity in the Daleks, where the Doctor names them Omega, Alpha and Omega. Is that what he named?
Oh yeah, you're talking about
that space serial.
Power of the Daleks.
Power of the Daleks.
Yeah. But the one that we No, not Power of the Daleks.
Not that one.
Evil of the Daleks.
The assembly line and they're manufacturing all the Daleks in space.
That's Power of the Daleks, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The one where he pretends to be the investigator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's Power of the Daleks.
And it's been a long time since we've had a space serial.
No, that's true. Alright. Well, because the Doctor's stuck on Earth right now. We're in the middle of the 3rd Doctor at the moment. Alright, okay, so what are you drinking today?
I'm drinking twisted tea.
And I'm drinking water.
And Earl Grey tea.
Yeah, Earl Grey tea. I'm drinking water because I'm on a drinking hiatus. I'm taking a 3-month hard reset break. It'll give my body rest and give me some perspective and reset my drinking habits. Needs to be done every once in a while. You ever find yourself problematically drinking? Do that. So May or June. Well, May I'll be back to drinking, and hopefully June we'll be back to the Drunk Doctor Who regular podcast.
Yeah, so we'll have some Heroes and Villains to catch up on.
Yep.
Some movies.
Some movies. Yeah. In the meantime, we'll be doing these and movies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do you ever see that in the future? Daleks being not evil?
Ooh. Okay.
Because I feel like how the Daleks are written, there might be a serial where, we've probably already seen that, where the Daleks ally because the enemy of my enemy, and then mutual destruction, but then they always stab you in the back.
Right.
But why? Let's discuss the nature of the Daleks.
In the Evil of the Daleks, where they pick up Victoria, okay, there are the Daleks that are newly made that the Doctor starts up, and those are the ones he names Alpha and Omega and all that. And remember, they're having fun with him playing train at the end of that one episode.
Like children.
Yeah,
yeah.
Right. So those are reasonably good Daleks, reasonably good.
Yeah.
And there are... Okay. There are several Daleks that fight the other Daleks.
Really?
Later on down the line.
Interesting.
In fact, my solo watching of the 5th through 8th Doctors is currently on the 7th Doctor there. Okay? On the Happiness Patrol.
So we watch Doctor Who. Then you have your Doctor Who watch group.
The Sunday night main group.
And then you just watch it through yourself.
Right, and I'm watching it with the wife. So I've got 4 different watchings going on. 3 different groups and then one for myself.
You ever get lost on which one you're on?
Sometimes. But that's why I do this. Okay, so we're right here.
That's you and me up here?
Yeah, we're right there. Which one is that? Carnival of Monsters. We're at Carnival of Monsters, 3rd Doctor. The wife and I, we continue switching between the new stuff and then catching up on the old stuff with the main group. So right now she and I are watching through Class, which is up there, but on catching up the main group, we're on Shada, and we have to catch up to the main group on Castrolava.
The Shada canon?
Yes. It finally had a proper air date on Canadian television.
Oh.
Yeah. And then you're thinking Scream of the Chakra, which is not
that
canon.
might be one.
And then Castrovalva, the main group, we're doing cleanup. We finished through the 4th Doctor. In fact, we finally had the 4th Doctor's TARDIS cake yesterday. And we're doing the cleanup on several serials of the 2nd Doctor that were animated since we finished the 3rd Doctor. And we did the one episode of Canine and Company.
You just started the 4th Doctor, or you just finished?
We finished the 4th Doctor. We're about to start the 5th Doctor. But we're doing the cleanup. So we did Canine and Company, and now we're doing... Thank you. Now we're doing cleanup. We're watching 3 serials that were animated since we finished the 3rd Doctor that we watched originally in Reconstruction. And the 4th one is about to come out, and we'll watch the 4th one as part of cleanup. And then we have the 2 Peter Cushing movies. And then we'll go to the 4th Doctor, the 5th Doctor.
A lot of catching up.
Yeah. The first Sunday in April, I think April 4th, will be our 10th anniversary of the main Doctor Who watching group.
10 years.
10 years
to get to the 5th Doctor.
Yeah.
So that puts you at another 10 years to go until you get to...
We probably have another 10 years to go at this point.
Okay.
There are fewer episodes per season when you go later. The 5th Doctor has the same number of episodes per season as the 4th Doctor.
Okay.
But then when you get to the 6th Doctor, he runs about the same, but then they cut the episodes in half from 26 to 13. And that runs 13, 14. And then that runs through the 6th Doctor as well. That runs through the 7th Doctor as well. The 8th Doctor just has the one deal, the TV movie. And then by the time you get to the 9th Doctor, and then they're 1 hour episodes. But there's still only 13 episodes a season, and that keeps declining until you get to 10 episodes in the current season. The current series, Whittaker. So everything gets shorter as you go along, so it moves faster. But at the same time, you have several spin-offs, like Torchwood, Sarah Jane Adventures, Canine, Class, and stuff like that.
Now, they always finish off the serial by the end of the season. Do they ever do the American thing where they leave the end of the season on a cliffhanger, and then you don't get to find out till the next season. It's like a serial that's split between 2 seasons as a finale. And
Oh, you mean like a story that continues in?
I guess so, yeah.
Occasionally.
So like a 2-part serial.
Usually they end everything at the end of the season.
Okay.
But to be fair, at the end of the current series, the most recent series, you could easily argue that the whole timeless child thing was a giant cliffhanger to see what's to come.
Okay.
We don't know. And that's the only series, 12 is the only series, only part of Doctor Who I haven't watched yet.
Okay. We'll find out.
Yeah, I have yet to purchase it. I will have to here eventually as my wife and I get to it. I just don't want purchasing numbers to influence them. I don't want to encourage them to make more of the crap they've been making lately. And we don't know yet if Timeless Child is going to be hammered into canon or if it's just going to be a big lie by the master. We'll see.
Conscientious consumer. You don't see that a whole lot anymore.
Try.
The status quo is usually, what does my purchase matter? What does my vote matter? It's just one small person.
Yeah. No, but enough people do that. Yeah.
Are you very vocal or active on the online community? Like a Doctor Who subreddit?
Digital Spy.
Digital Spy?
I'm on the Doctor Who
So it's
Digital
like
Spy forums.
Forums, yeah.
Yeah, or the Digital Spy Doctor Who forums.
So are there a lot of people boycotting?
There's a lot of people who've given up watching the show, I think, yeah. Their the current show's numbers are way down. In fact, and I don't want to get into a whole bunch of what's going on here,
right?
But different debates about, at first a bunch of debates about even having a female doctor, which if they picked a really good female doctor would have worked. Like, the problem is a really good actress probably wouldn't have necessarily wanted the role, but if you could have talked Dame Helen Mirren into it, or let's see. Oh, what's her name? The one they were talking about, Tilda Swinton. Their name, Tilda Swinton, I think would have worked out really, really well.
I still want to see Idris Elba as a Doctor Who.
And there's been a lot of talk about him, yeah. But there's also been a lot of talk about him as Bond. I mean, he's just a really good British actor.
He'd make a good Bond too, yeah.
Yeah, the one problem
it's getting a little up there.
Yeah, that's the problem. When you cast Bond...
It's okay to be an old Doctor Who. An old James Bond is a little rough, though.
Well, Connery ended up being an old James Bond eventually. But when you recast Bond, you want to recast him younger, like 10, 15, 20 years younger, so he can do the stunts and so he can be in the role for a long time. You don't want to bring him in at the same age. It's the same thing for the doctors. Almost always they cast younger. The only exceptions were pretty much Capaldi. He was older when they cast him, and
they sure started.
Baldy's not on there. And from the second to the third Doctor, they went slightly older.
They did.
Pertwee. Was slightly older than Troughton when Pertwee took over. But they almost always go younger. They may have done it from Davison to Colin Baker. 5th to 6th Doctor? No, that's the 4th Doctor. 5th Doctor is Davison over there. The question mark. And I would have to check. Yeah, from him to there. But when they went from him to Colin Baker up in the top left, they may have gone slightly older. I will have to double check the dates.
But subtly so.
Once again, like number 2 to number 3, Pertwee to Troughton, Troughton to Pertwee. They may have gone slightly older, but generally speaking, you want to go younger so that he can keep up with the production schedule and everything.
I kind of like older doctors, though. They're very distinguished.
Well, they are, but
like the War Doctor.
Oh God, John Hurt. Yeah, that's an exception to every rule. But yeah, and Elba would make a great Doctor, but not so much Bond at this point. He's just too long in the tooth for it. He just no way he could probably do a lot of those stunts.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And if he took over at this juncture, he'd only be there for a few movies before he probably couldn't do it. That's another reason to go younger is to get somebody who can stay in the role for 15 years.
I feel like they should go back to Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan should make...
Talk about long in the tooth, yeah.
I love Pierce Brosnan as James Bond. So, Daleks.
Okay, Daleks. All right. But anyway, yeah. So we are for the watching group. We're cleaning up on the Fifth Doctor. Now you and I, this hiatus is going to push us back a little bit.
Yeah.
But we've been catching up to the main group, and we keep going and going. We will catch up to them. But this will push us back just a smidgen. Although to be fair, the main group is catching up on so much side stuff that you and I have actually seen.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So maybe we'll stay even, progress-wise.
In terms of this, yeah, because you and I have already seen most of these animations.
Mm-hmm. At some point, we'll catch up to where I'll be able to just sit in with the normal watching group and not worry about spoilers.
No, we'll pass up the normal watching group.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you'll be able to sit in and see stuff you've already seen.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
but then you can come to Bad Movie Night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of showing up just for bad movies.
Exactly.
I
But you'll be like,
up.
wait, I saw this 3 months ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, but we need to watch a couple of them, like Macro Terror and Faceless Ones, that we saw reconstructed, but
Faceless
now have
ones,
come. They've now come out animated.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah.
I like the Faceless Ones.
Yeah, we watched it. We watched Macro Terror. We started that last night for the main group. The Macro Terror, the animated. Now, the Power of the Daleks, we saw that animated, right?
Yes.
Okay. But since we watched it, there's been Macro Terror and Faceless Ones. And then Fury from the Deep is coming out next month. Animated.
Okay.
So if you don't know, I think March 16th, Fury from the Deep is coming out animated. And that'll be cool.
We know you come here for your Doctor Who news. So.
Yeah, we're probably...
You heard it here first.
No, they probably didn't. If they're here, they probably heard it 100 other places. But sure, yeah, if this is your only source of Doctor Who news, March 16th, here in the States, I believe, is Fury from the Deep. And so we're going to have to catch up on that one for the Doctor Who thing. But you and I will be watching those. Wow, actually, why don't we watch it for some of this stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We could use some of this time for a little catch up of our own.
Yeah.
Set of movies. Yeah, it doesn't sound bad actually. Because we've got 3 of them.
Maybe a little bit of both.
There you go. Alright, so back to the Daleks. Quintessential evil bad guys. They're not human. They're fairly genocidal.
Do you think at some point they used to be human? Because it talks about how they used to be a species. They got so they're biological.
Biologically,
We don't know what they look like unradiated, do we? Do we ever
you
find
don't
out?
know yet.
I don't know that.
We will.
Okay.
Okay. Genesis of the Daleks shows us that.
All I know now is they look like slugs. Like
No, they
weird
basically.
tentacle slugs.
All right. Since we're basically talking about the Daleks throughout the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It doesn't show it in the first 3 Doctors, but in the 4th Doctor we get to Genesis of the Daleks.
Which is like the making of
the Genesis of the Daleks, and they come from a race called the Khalids.
bipedal.
Yes.
Okay, so
But Khalids is an anagram for Dalek.
Oh,
So
they just rearranged the letters.
letters, right? And anyway, so there's the father of the Daleks called Davros, and we'll meet Davros, and we'll eventually have a villain thing on him as well. And Davros basically is this mad scientist who decides that there's been a war on his planet between the 2 races forever and ever, which we saw in Daleks. Remember the Daleks and the other race?
What were those races called?
Thrones?
Trons, yeah, something like that.
But anyway,
I should have it written down here. For some reason, I have written down
Thaws.
Mama Hoo Hoo.
So in Chinese, yes. Alright, but the Thaws. It was the Daleks and the Thaws. And anyway, the original serial Daleks and the movie
Thals.
Thals, yeah.
Thal.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the movie...
So we get to see the Thals again in the Genesis?
Originally, before they went
were
into there. Yeah,
sparkly people.
Yeah. Originally you just get to see the Thals and the Daleks as they are after the war, you know, in the rubble of the planet.
Right.
In Genesis of the Daleks, you get to see them as races before all that.
Civilizations.
So, right, so 2 civilizations on the planet fighting each other like crazy, and they keep fighting, and they're running out of resources, and they're running out of people, and they have to prop up the dead on the walls to make it look like they have more men defending the place. And they've got all sorts of different levels of technology. Like, it starts out super high tech, and then as they run out of resources, it gets lower and lower tech. And they keep fighting each other, and there's mutants out in the wasteland, and there was gas attacks and biological attacks and, you know, all sorts of stuff until the planet's almost dead.
It sounds like a Fallout game. You ever play Fallout?
Mm-hmm. Oh. But it sounds fairly much like that, yeah. Very Mad Max-ish.
Yeah. Post-apocalyptic.
Yeah. But anyway, so in Genesis of the Daleks, Davros says, okay, the planet's irradiated, because remember they had that problem with the radiation sickness in Daleks? Mm-hmm. The planet's irradiated, everything's bad, our race is going to die, so he saw the next leap for their race. And that was to take their brains, make their brains separate, which is kind of like the Dalek goo thing, and put their brains with a little more mobility and evolution, and put them into the Dalek casing.
That makes more sense.
Yeah. And so that Dalek casing is, you know, what moves them around and stuff and everything.
I don't know if I've ever even seen a full Dalek slug, because I've just seen like a tentacle arm come out of the casing, or maybe in like a test tube in Power of the Daleks.
Yeah. Oh,
but not really a whole lot of clear shots of the.
Yeah. But anyway, so I just watched Remembrance of the Daleks, and in that one, there's 2 Dalek factions. You've got the Rebel Daleks and the Emperor Daleks, and the Rebel Daleks are black, and the Emperor Daleks are white. And they're fighting each other because
like a yin yang kind of.
Right. So the Emperor Daleks decide to continue mutating, and like one of them has a giant claw.
Well, that sounds cool.
Inside, yeah, and they have better appendages. And the Rebel Daleks don't like that. They think they're impure, so they're fighting each other and stuff. And that happens a couple of times.
I feel like anything would be better than the potty plunger attachment.
Later on in the new stuff, they show uses for that. Like, there are several times when they use it to pick up things and move things. But in the new stuff, they suck on a person's face and they nearly pull it off, and you know, bad CGI. But
sounds like that scene in Pirates of the Caribbean where the Kraken tentacle sucks the guy's face. You just see.
Essentially. But yeah, in terms of are there good Daleks, there are Daleks that later on, there's a single episode called Dalek. Singular, with the 9th Doctor, where he finds a Dalek in a museum in Utah, of all places, or something like that. And the Dalek comes to life because the Doctor...
So what timeline are we working with there? Because that's like after the Dalek invasion is why it's in the museum?
No, it's prior to that.
So it just like crash landed there?
Yeah. But, so, it's great. There's a great line in there because that Dalek actually decides he just wants to see the sun again. And they open it up and the Dalek's dying, but he gets to see the sunlight. But there's a point where the Doctor's like, no. The Dalek's like, mercy, and the Doctor's like, no, I hate you. I hate all of you. You should all die. You know, because the Daleks, right? They're genocidal maniacs. And the Dalek goes, you would have made a good Dalek. It's like, holy crap.
There's some introspection for you.
Yes, very much so. Okay, but this, to be fair, this Doctor was dealing with the shell shock of the Time War. Which you'll get to eventually. the time when the Time Lords and the Daleks fought each other, and literally to the genocide of both races, the Doctor has to kill both races to stop the war.
Ooh. That's heavy.
It gets heavy later on. And so the Ninth Doctor, Eccleston, the one right above you with the leather jacket, he deals with that. And Tennant also deals with it, the 10th Doctor. By the time you get to Matt Smith, a lot of that edge is worn away. Because you can only grieve or mourn for so long.
I still feel like you're telling me that the Doctor's evil.
No. Doctor's not evil, but occasionally the Doctor has to make the hard decisions.
That's like the opposite of the greater good. It's just the... Well...
Hey.
It's like these people are fighting these people, so to stop the fighting, no more people.
Okay. Hey, picture Time Lords who regenerate.
Yes.
So picture them in a giant war where they're getting killed and die and regenerate and fight and die and regenerate and just keep getting killed over and over and over.
That sounds awesome.
Again.
Like Edge of Tomorrow. You ever watch that movie?
Yeah, no, but it's not good. It's too much suffering. And eventually the Doctor hit a choke point and he said simply no more. And the Doctor ends up becoming the butcher of Gallifrey, and eventually the savior of Gallifrey, but we'll get there.
I guess I'll have to watch it.
You will.
Because it still just sounds incredibly evil to me.
It's incredibly dark. It really is. But that's Doctor Who. Alright, so far we've seen the Daleks.
No longer a children's show.
By that point, it's a family show. It becomes a family show during the Fourth Doctor when he's being choked to death and drowned in a bog.
Not until then. Yeah.
No. Till then, it's still
all the mass genocide we've seen so far.
Oh, no, it wasn't that one. It's where a tree is choking a guy to death, a plant.
We saw that in the Daleks Master Plan.
This is a different one.
Right. A different tree.
Alright, so we've seen him in the Daleks, the second serial for 7 episodes so far. We saw them again in Dalek Invasion of the Earth for 6 episodes, which was then repeated in the Peter Cushing movie that we watched, Doctor Who and the Daleks. We saw them in, The Chase, when they were chasing them around and everything. Love that one. Chase is great. Mission to the Unknown.
Are we counting episodes? How many episodes?
Well, The Chase was 6, so 7, 6, 6, so 19. Mission to the Unknown is 1. The Daleks Master Plan, 12 episodes, so that's 42. Then we see them again in both of the movies. Because Dalek Invasion of Earth was repeated in Daleks Invasion 2120 or whatever AD. Then we see them again in Power of the Daleks for another 6 episodes.
So 48?
Yeah, 48 in 2 movies. Then we see him again in Evil of the Daleks for another 7 episodes, 55 in 2 movies. Then then we don't see him for a bit. Yeah, we really did get away from him for a while into the Third Doctor.
That's when the Cybermen came in, right?
Oh yeah, it's all Cybermen, and then the Master. Second Doctor, Cybermen, and then into the Third Doctor, and the Third Doctor, the Master, and the Autons and things. Yeah. And we'll do episodes for them as well. Let's see, and then Day of the Daleks. That's 4 episodes. It's like 59. All right, and then and that's where we are.
Cool. So
you and I have seen them in 59 episodes and 2 movies, but they're literally in scores of episodes more.
So we have 59 episodes to talk about.
Well, thus far. Okay, so you and I have watched 333 episodes of Doctor Who.
Yes, that's a lot.
True.
I like that round even.
Plus the 2 movies. Plus the Doctor Drama.
Yes.
Okay. And so far, that 333 episodes, they've been 59 in both movies. Mm-hmm. So you're looking at 59 into 333.
What percentage of?
Is approximately 18%.
6. Yeah.
It's about 18%.
So less, almost 1/5.
Right.
All Doctor Who.
1/5 is 20, and this is 18. Yeah. It's approximately 18%. So they're in the show a lot. And they keep coming back, and they keep coming back, and they keep coming back. They are the quintessential bad guys for Doctor Who. There's just no way around it.
Do we ever have a period in time, like 1 or 2 Doctors that just don't have any Daleks in them again, like we had with the Cybermen and the Master?
The 8th Doctor doesn't have any Daleks, but that's because he was only in the one serial. Guess who his enemy is?
The Master?
Yes.
Alright.
The absolute quintessential bad guys for Doctor Who are, that show up time and time again, are the Daleks, the Cybermen,
Ice Warriors.
the Ice Warriors.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. The Master, to a lesser extent the Silurians, and eventually the Zygons. Oh.
So the Autons aren't coming back anymore.
The Autons do.
They do?
They do come back.
Just not very much.
Correct. Not very. Like the Zygons. In the old stuff, the Zygons show up a couple of times. But they show up a lot more in the new stuff. And the Silurians show up once or twice in the old stuff, and they show up a crap ton more in the new stuff.
Do you think that's going to happen again? And if it does, who do you think is going to be the big next recurring villain that they just pluck from
the old stuff?
Yeah.
Well, the latest one they did that was with the Zygons. They didn't show up for 30-something years, and then they became a big deal in several long extended episodes, including the 50th anniversary. They showed up for the 50th anniversary. Let's see. Other ones are the potato heads. Okay. Let's see. Silurians.
Like Mr. Potato Head?
Alright, hold on.
You make a great.
I've got a cheat. Let me look at it, see what they're called. Let's see.
I'm trying to think of who I want to see come back as a recurring villain. The answer has to be silly. The cavemen. Oh, I already said who I wanted my recurring villain to be. The cavemen.
Let's see.
To come back.
Sontarans.
Okay. I remember that.
So you've met the Cybermen, you've met the Daleks, you've met the Master, you've met the Autons.
Have I not met the Sontarans yet?
You haven't met the Sontarans.
No.
They're 4th Doctor.
Okay.
You haven't met the Zygons, who are also 4th Doctor.
Haven't met them.
Who else do we say? You've met the Silurians.
The Autons.
And you haven't met the Weeping Angels. The Weeping Angels are a big recurring villain, but that's new stuff. They don't show up until the 10th Doctor.
I thought it was just the 1 or 2 serials.
Blink, yeah, no. They show up several more times.
Does Vincent Van Gogh show up a bunch? Because that's
just
awesome.
that one episode.
The only thing I know
Such
about.
a good episode. It's just the one episode.
What if Vincent Van Gogh was a recurring character?
He would have been a great companion.
I was about to say if he's a companion.
But no, the Daleks.
That would make sense, and then they would wipe his memory.
Yeah.
He could still be a companion.
Alright, so.
Maybe that's why he went crazy and cut his ear off, because like he saw genociding Daleks and he just went crazy.
No, he sees a giant invisible bird.
Is that? I don't know.
No, that happens.
Actually happens.
That happens.
Well, that's why he went crazy.
There you go. Alright, so.
This is canon now. That just happened off camera.
So how? No, it happens on camera.
Yeah, that part.
Okay, so alright, so Daleks, Cybermen, Autons, Master,
Cavemen.
No cavemen. Silurians, Sontarans, Zygons, Weeping Angels. It's 8. So we'll roll with that.
That's a pretty good.
It's a pretty good gallery of bad guys. Yeah.
They need to come together and make a league of evil, like in all the superhero comics.
Would it
A
surprise
suicide
you
squad.
if there's an episode where they all get together to entrap the Doctor in an unescapable prison?
Ooh. All of them?
Yes.
Even the angels? Because I wouldn't picture.
Can't remember if the angels are there.
'Cause
But pretty much all the rest of them are.
What did they call the? What did you say was like the genesis of the Weeping Angels? The time devourers, like the serial we just watched, where like they summoned that one thing that was a space eater that the Mayans worshipped. This is my first one.
That we just watched?
Yeah, you said maybe that's where the Weeping Angels came from, because it sounds like a similar
Okay. I was
species.
drinking. Let's see.
Mutants.
Alright. We're in season 10, right? Yeah, we just started season 10. Oh, you're talking about the Time Monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about the Time Monster.
Yeah. Kind of. What
Yeah.
is it called?
And the Time Monster,
There we go. Nope, that's yours.
alright, and the Time Monster, yeah, I mentioned because he eats time, and he's the closest comparison to him in the monosaur is going to be the Weeping Angels.
Mm-hmm. So you think that the Weeping Angels are a time monster?
They're essentially like the Time Monster. I don't think they are a Time Monster.
So normally when we see a League of Villains type of thing, it's like the Daleks Master Plan or
Correct, which is
Curse of Paladon, where they just kind of write in a few other species that we've never seen before.
right. Yeah, the Daleks Master Plan is a whole bunch of species we never see again. Curse of Peladon, to be fair, several of those other species do come back again in the Monster of Peladon.
Does the big eyeball guy come back?
Alpha Centauri.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does? Oh.
No, wait. Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet, have we? Alright, hold on. Oh, you haven't gotten there.
The really whiny eyeball thing.
The Monster of Peladon. It's Pertwee's
Oh, we do go back to
penultimate
Peladon.
serial. Yeah, the
What?
Monster of Peladon.
Oh, I'm excited now.
Pertwee's penultimate serial.
I didn't know they were coming back. I thought they were really just
No. That's
in there.
it's not a one shot. It's a two shot.
sweet.
Yeah, two different serials.
I'm excited.
Guess what precedes that? Death to the Daleks.
More Daleks.
Yeah. But yeah. So anyway, so nice big rogues gallery.
Didn't they have a
Oh, and Ice Warriors.
The Ice Warriors.
Nine.
The Ice
We
Warriors.
have 9 Ice Warriors. Yeah. Man, I keep forgetting.
They
about
had
this
a what was that guy who looked like a Dalek in Curse of Peladon, except he had like the skull and the dome.
Yeah, we never see that again.
Agador? No.
No.
Isler.
We never see that thing again.
He was kind of cool looking. I like that design.
It is interesting.
He reminded me of a Dalek, but like with a glass dome, and you could see.
Yeah. There are a couple of bad guys that reoccur once or twice, like the Ronnie.
Lorani?
The Ronnie.
The Ronnie.
Yeah, she's a female Time Lord, a rogue Time Lord who's doing evil, kind of like the way the Master is.
Like the monk. He came back.
Oh, the monk. Yeah, he came back. He was there in the one at Serial, and then he came back for the Daleks Master Plan.
We never see him again.
Then we never see him again. Same for the Ronnie. She was there once, and then a second time, and then that was it.
I wish Omega would come back. Maybe in like a prequel, like when he got stranded or something. That'd be a cool episode. Like when they're having the energy crisis, when they discover, because that's what led to Time Lord time travel, right? Because they needed an energy draw.
Right, but
Do we see Omega again?
There are things close to Omega that come back.
But we never see him specifically.
I don't think so. But there's the Pyramids of Mars. We see something like him.
Are there pyramids
Trapped
on
in
Mars?
place. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
In the serial.
No, I mean like in real life.
No clue.
I was wondering if they saw something on Mars and then they wrote that into.
No.
That'd be cool.
Let's see.
Because there are craters on the moon. I just thought that was cool.
True. I'm trying to think of what else.
Isn't Mars where the Ice Warriors are from?
Yes.
Do we see them in the pyramids?
No.
Oh. I guess there's a lot of things on Mars. Mars is a big planet.
Yeah.
The Ice Warriors are on the other side.
But the Daleks keep coming back and they keep coming back. And you know how they're stuck? They can't go like upstairs and stuff.
The Daleks?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They eventually get the ability to fly.
Nice.
And then they can go upstairs.
Like R2-D2 in episode 2.
Yeah.
Because that is the one weakness of the Daleks is they needed ramps and they had to have the magnetized
and the power source, the ionized floors,
yeah. They used to.
And
they upgraded to wheels, which they still can't go upstairs. So they had the sloping platforms.
Yeah. But yeah, occasionally
so you think that would illegitimize the argument of like the purist rebelling Daleks that say the guys that are adding the claws or remember we were talking about that?
Yeah.
Because they've been changing the whole time, adding things like wheels and.
Okay, the mechanical stuff isn't that big a deal to upgrade because you remember in Daleks Master Plan they have the flamethrowers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're.
But it's the organic stuff. It's when the DNA changes they don't like.
So they're adding claws to the brain thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I get it now. That makes more sense. I thought you meant
the doctor opens up the thing and a claw comes out and grabs him by the neck and it's like, jeez.
That's awesome.
But yeah, occasionally Daleks, especially when they're alone, when they don't have a command group to tell them what to do, they can literally sometimes self-destruct out of confusion and not knowing what to do.
This sounds like they make great soldiers.
Yep. And
have no independent thought.
And then very occasionally they can actually be reasonable, like in Dalek. And
negotiate. We've seen a little bit of that, like Daleks political.
There eventually becomes a Dalek-human hybrid.
Ooh. What do you think that night was like? Must have been really drunk.
No.
To look across the bar.
It's not like that. It's not like that. It's more of they combine the DNAs.
Okay.
Well,
that's what we do.
Yeah, and they also make humanoid Daleks. Humans, they look like us, and then a little Dalek eye stalk comes out here.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a human-esque Dalek that looks human for purposes of going around in humanity, but it's basically a human that's been converted into a Dalek like that.
That sounds like the precursor of the Cybermen, where we had the Daleks' invasion of Earth, and they mind controlled people.
Correct, and they did that, and that basically ended up eventually becoming the Cybermen. Yeah. But yeah, the Daleks stick around for a long time, and every time the Doctor thinks he has them all wiped out, they come back, because that's what the Daleks do. There's always some Dalek somewhere that survives and creates more Daleks.
Sitting around in a museum in Oklahoma that...
Utah, I think it was.
Utah. Because it just takes one to fire up a factory. And
we saw that in The Evil of the Daleks.
Yeah, the space one.
All right, and they can be very, very deceptive. Like, I am your servant.
It's like trying to get rid of ants.
Yeah. But remember, I am your servant.
We need more power.
Yeah. In the new stuff, they come back, they do that in World War II with the British. I am your soldier. And it's just a direct call back to I am your servant from 40 years prior.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, 35 years prior. Right.
Do you think you would enjoy writing for the Doctor Who show? Like being a script writer? Yeah.
Sure.
Do you enjoy writing? Do you ever do?
I do. I used to be a creative writing major in college.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a year.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it was fun. I'd love to write for Doctor Who, but...
You ever make fan fiction?
No.
Write your own episode?
No, I've never gotten into fan fiction.
What if we made our own Doctor Who episode? Like, what do they call it? when it got canceled and they just kept making episodes.
Okay, yeah.
Apocrypha stuff.
Apocrypha, yeah. That stuff those years are referred to as the wilderness years.
Yeah. What if we make wilderness episodes?
We could, but the show's not currently canceled. But they're still making that side stuff, certain episodes of it, even though the show is on the air.
Oh, really? Do you ever watch that stuff?
Yeah.
Do you like it?
Almost all of it right there. I'm still a stranger.
Some of those came out even after they rebooted the show.
Yeah, or revived. Yeah.
Revived. Yeah.
K9 is not BBC, but it was done then.
Oh, I thought K9 was like official canon.
No. That's not official. That's the one spin-off that's
I didn't know that.
Still Devil's Seed of Ardor. Recent, but that's a spin-off. That's not canon. Daemons of Devil's End.
That's where they get the old lady to come back.
Right. And we watched that.
We watched Daemons.
Yeah, we watched that, and a lot of these groups started while the show was off the air, but they're still doing stuff. Except for K9. K9 was just completely a K9 spin-off because the guy owned the rights and he made that show in Australia. He owned the rights to K9. Could never mention the Doctor. Couldn't mention anything else, and he couldn't use any of the baddies out of the show. But he could use K9.
So doesn't one person own the rights to the Daleks? Couldn't he make his own Daleks spin-off?
Terry Nation.
Yeah, Terry Nation.
Terry Nation wrote
Uncle
the
Terry.
Daleks. No, Uncle Terry is
Uncle Dix.
Terrence Dix. Yeah. So Terry Nation wrote the Daleks, and back then, when you were working for, at least in the United Kingdom, when you were working for a creative outlet like the BBC or something, and you invented something, you had more rights to it.
Oh, that's nice.
Nowadays, if you're working for like Marvel, and you create a superhero, Marvel owns that because you're working for them. Well, back then there was a bit more of a division, and you got to keep a lot of the rights.
Nice.
So he had the rights to the Daleks, and he tried to get a film franchise in America, which is why we didn't see the Daleks on Doctor Who for several years. And he tried to get a TV show and a film franchise, and it never quite took off. Yeah. So he once again brought it back to the BBC, and the BBC started making more Dalek serials, which is why we see so many of them lately. But I think the gap there on the second and third Doctor is part of that, you know?
Okay. It's weird that K9 and Friends took off, but...
Well, K9,
but not the Daleks.
Yeah, K9 and Company was the first spin-off. K9 is a later spin-off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. K9 and Company was a spin-off.
So K9 gets 2 spin-offs, and the Daleks don't even get one off the ground.
What would you do with the Dalek spin-off? We must kill them.
Yeah.
We will kill them.
I'm super interested in like the Society of the Daleks and like the Splinter Cell organizations.
K9 has 2 spin-offs, but to be fair, K9 and Company, Sarah Jane was the protagonist.
Sarah Jane Adventures.
No, she was in K9 and Company.
I'm so confused.
And then K9 and Company had K9 and Sarah Jane. Okay? Then you have Sarah Jane Adventures, which is all Sarah Jane and her son and some other people. And K9's actually in it as well. Then you have... right. Then you have K9, which just says K9 is for new people.
And all these shows like recognize what happened in the other show, or are they just like...
Not K9.
Completely.
Not K9. Okay. Because K9 is not canon. But the canon shows all of Doctor Who, K9 and Company, Sarah Jane Adventures,
that's why I was confused.
Torchwood, and Class. And, of course, the main Doctor Who show. All the stuff converges, and all of it's canon, and they all recognize each other.
And then there's another K9 show that's...
There's a different K9 show that was the Australian one.
Gotcha.
But
okay.
literally, in the modern show, in K9 and Company, the Doctor sends K9 to go be with Sarah Jane. So you haven't met Sarah Jane or K9 yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay, you'll meet Sarah Jane towards the end of this Doctor.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But, so the Doctor sends K9 in a box to go be with Sarah Jane. Sarah Jane had been with K9 on the TARDIS, right? So Sarah Jane has K9. Then later on in the new stuff, Sarah Jane shows up with K9. And unless you saw K9 and Company, you're like, how the heck did she get a hold of K9? because you had to have seen that spin-off episode to know that's how she got K9. And that's how she brings the K9 to the doctor. The doctor fixes K9. And then they all... Right, and then she keeps K9 for K9 and Company.
So K9 and Company is named after K9, but the main character is Sarah Jane.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
But in the Sarah Jane Adventures, K9 is there, but the main character is Sarah Jane. She's a protagonist, and it's her show.
Oof.
Yeah. And okay, the end of Series 4, you've got Torchwood, Sarah Jane Adventures, and other stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And so the end of Series 4, there's this big old convergence of everybody. And you got the Torchwood gang there, and you got Sarah Jane and everybody there, mm-hmm. and the Doctor and all that. It's one big, giant super finale. It's awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's called the...
Sounds like an adventure.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
And Company.
Okay, so back to Terry Nation and the Daleks. So the Daleks are still copyrighted by the Terry Nation, the family of mm-hmm. Terry Nation, and so they still get money.
Did Terry Nation pass away?
Yes, he passed away a long time ago. He was, I think, in his 40s or 50s when he wrote all that. In the 60s, so he would, he'd be over 100 now. He's passed away a long time ago.
Is copyright laws are different in the UK than they are in America, right? Or is it also like 99 plus whatever years?
I think in the UK it's 50 years after the death of the last person who worked on the show or something. I don't know. I don't know all the laws, but there's a bunch of stuff that should be coming up soon, for copyright. And the Daleks and Doctor Who are eventually going to come up and be utilizable.
So, while the show was canceled, Doctor Who was still under copyright. So mm-hmm. why were they able to make all those non-canon shows?
They didn't use the name of the Doctor.
Really?
They were slightly different.
What do they call
them? Okay, well...
I guess you can't trademark...
There's the series The Stranger.
Mm-hmm.
So they just call him The Stranger.
Oh.
Yeah, and then there's... a lot of them use the same actors and actresses mm-hmm. as the same characters.
Right.
But they simply don't mention the Doctor.
Just avoid all the...
Or it's just different enough.
So it's like what people do when they bootleg movies and they make like animated movies that are very similar to Disney movies, but not quite.
Right. But no, in a lot of cases, the BBC never really went after them because they didn't mind because they'd canceled Doctor Who and it wasn't worth going after these people. The BBC has kept not quite an open source, but they've kept an open... They're like, yeah, okay, just fine. We've got a show, we've got fandom, whatever, keep doing it.
Nice. So even after they brought the show back, they still don't care that they're
not using stuff? Right, not as much. Yeah, it's just why go after somebody that's helping out your fandom?
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions about the Daleks?
So the Daleks are more like the biological creatures, and they live in these war machines. But why don't they ever automate? They seem really good at manufacturing things, robots, spaceships, mm-hmm. structures. Why don't they ever autonomize the whole war aspect? Why don't they make war machines rather than sending the...
They are the war machines.
Because even the biological part of Daleks are reproducible.
Yes, but they're basically grown in a vat, yeah. But well, here's the thing. They are the war machines. Why would you make something else when you think Daleks are perfect and pure and anything below a Dalek is nothing, so you're going to keep making more Daleks?
So it's a pride thing.
It's a pride thing plus...
Even though they can't go upstairs, they don't...
Yeah, and the Fourth Doctor does that several times. You come after me, yeah! But no, the Daleks eventually get past that. They eventually learn how to mass produce we've already seen a bit of that. They just create fleets and fleets and fleets, and they destroy thousands and thousands of worlds and billions of people. And in Genesis, It is.
I might need another notepad for that death count.
Oh no! In Genesis of the Daleks, the Doctor is talking with Davros, and it's some of the best dialogue in the show. And they're just going back and forth with the Doctor telling him all the horrible things the Daleks have done. You know, all the worlds and billions of people they've destroyed.
Heavy.
Yeah. Once again, I can't remember if that's I think it's while it's still a children's show, actually.
Nice.
Yay!
Cool.
Children's show, death count. All right.
You have any closing statements on the Daleks? What's your favorite Daleks serial?
Genesis of the Daleks is so good.
I have yet to see that one.
Correct.
I'm very excited.
That is one of my favorites because it has partly my favorite Doctor, partly because I think the story is so darn good. It's just done so well, and it's his first season.
Nice.
Yeah. Your favorite Dalek story thus far?
Probably the Master Plan. It shows like the misleading, backstabbing, conniving side of the Daleks that like partner with people just to betray them later. Whereas a lot of other times it's just kind of they're evil robots. So
but
I like seeing the full scale of.
But when I was watching Remembrance of Daleks the other night, I forgot it's actually a really good serial. It's the seventh Doctor, and his time frame is much maligned, but it's a good serial. It is. It's just.
Why don't they like the seventh?
He was a bit of a clown, but to be fair, the show had to take that tact. If it hadn't, because the sixth Doctor was too dark. If the seventh hadn't been a lot more light, more of a clown, I think the show would have gotten canceled earlier.
More clowny than Troughton? I thought Troughton was pretty clowny.
Yeah, literally the actor was a bit of a children's show actor before he became the Doctor. But it works out really well. And but no, Remembrance of Daleks was pretty good.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm surprised. They go back to Coal Hill School.
Where they met Barbara in the end.
Yeah. And the Doctor's running through the junkyard, and they're like, "How do you know? I've been here before."
Like the warehouse where they parked the.
Yeah, the junkyard where they parked the junkyard. Yeah, I've been here before. It's like, dude. And we go back to Coal Hill School in the modern stuff a bunch of times.
Cool.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
In fact, class is set at Coal Hill School. Apparently, the Doctor, they've never discussed this, but the Doctor may have been there because it's a crack in the time-space that he can recharge from, which is something that happens in Torchwood.
They need recharging?
Apparently, the TARDIS needs recharging.
Oh, the TARDIS needs recharging.
Yeah, and in Cardiff, there's this crack in the time-space continuum that the TARDIS sits on and recharges. And so apparently, that kind of scenario could be why the Doctor keeps going back to Coal Hill School,
you think
and
that's
why
like
Coal Hill School is such a nexus for such things, but it's never really discussed.
You think the Doctor's responsible for that crack in time space?
I don't think so, but it's possible.
Time traveled there so many times.
No, I think he ends up there because of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You think that's like a friction battery?
I don't know.
How does that work?
All right, so thank you for joining us for the Daleks.
This was super hype.
Yeah.
This just makes me very excited for what's to come with the Daleks. Because most of these heroes and villains, it's like a lot of reminiscing on what we have seen. But this is like...
There's so much in the future.
Equal parts of... It's been very exciting, and I'm still excited for what's to come.
Right, most of the companions most of the villains and companions don't necessarily come back, but the Daleks do, and Susan does.
Let's call it
Susan comes back.
Heroes and Villains, the Daleks, Part 1, and we'll come back to talk about the Daleks.
Yeah, well, we got a lot of others to go through before we come back to the Daleks, like a crap ton. Did you want to do another one tonight?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Stay tuned.
See you in a few minutes.
Episode number 6 of the Heroes and Villains.
All right.